Dear fellow truth seekers, thank you and welcome for visiting my channel, MythoReligio. MythoReligio is a video channel based on a book series with the same name about religious comparison studies between the stories in Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism, directly from their sacred books and world mythologies, hence the name MythoReligio. The purpose is to retrace the prehistory of humanity, since I'm not fully satisfied with either the explanations from the point of view of creationist nor evolutionist. There are so many missing links in both explanations. If you feel the same, then you are on the right channel. In this channel, I will also analyze about the prehistory of humanity from the archaeological records, modern scientific point of view, and other alternative theories such as the ancient alien theories and Atlantis or Lemuria legends. After thorough research of circa 30 years, I recognize many similarities between all religious stories and even mythologies, and surprisingly, some of them are in accordance or even beyond modern science that have been proven as correct. Thus, I came to the conclusion that all religions must have come from the same source. And all these religious stories and mythologies, although heavily jumbled up, are actually telling one mega story, the true prehistory of our common ancestors. This mega story is quite different than what we have been told to believe and will truly blow your mind, as it is more fascinating than our imagination. If you have watched the earlier videos in this channel, I believe you can see some of the similarities too. If you haven't and you truly want to do a religious comparative study, I suggest that you do so. The best way to do a comprehensive religious study via this channel is by watching the videos starting from number 1 and continue until this present video and so on. That way you will see a clear pattern. In this channel, I will share almost all that I have written in my book series. However, there is one book so far that I cannot share in this channel due to its sensitive, shocking and dark nature, and also might be considered controversial to some, but I believe it sheds more light to the above conclusion. If you want to read this around 500 pages ebook with many full-color illustrations, you are more than welcome to download book number 5 entitled History of the Dark Side, that is available for free in ebook format that can be found in my website www.mythoreligio.com. You only have to give your email address and it will be sent to you directly. And no, I won't share your email address nor send any advertisement. The link is in the description box. If you want to get the physical book, kindly go to amazon.com. Now let's continue with this week's video. Video number 76 from MythoReligio series book 4, The Enigmatic Human's Prehistory, Out-of-Place Artifacts, Part 2. Dear fellow truth seekers, in my previous video I have shared with you some out-of-place artifacts that are simply too advanced to have been made by our primitive ancestors. These out-of-place artifacts are used by some people as evidence that either our ancestors were aliens who visited us in the distant past, or they were descendants of people from the legendary sunken paradise of Atlantis, or Lemuria, or Moon, or that our ancestors were actually more sophisticated than we are today, and that humans have actually been devolving ever since instead of evolving. In this video, I will continue to share more of such artifacts, particularly the ones that are found in Egypt. Egyptian Trilobe Bowl. In the Egyptian Museum of Cairo, one cannot help but surprised to see a small display cabinet, a solitary object similar to a wheel or stone disc. This strange object has disturbed and continues disturbing all the Egyptologists who have had the occasion to study it at great length. The first of them was its discoverer, Walter Bryan Emery, a prominent British Egyptologist. Making excavations in 1936 in the archaeological zone of Saqqara, he discovered the tomb of Prince Sabu, the son of Ajut Pharaoh governor of the First Dynasty, circa 3000 BCE. Between utensils of funeral objects that were extracted, Emery's attention was drawn by an object that he initially defined in his report of the great tombs of the First Dynasty as a container in the form of schist bowl. Years later, in his work Archaic Egypt, he commented on the object as follows: "A satisfactory explanation has not yet been obtained on the peculiar design of this object." This object is approximately 61 centimeters or 24 inches in diameter and 10.6 centimeters or 4.17 inches in height in the center. It is made of schist, a very fragile and delicate rock, which requires very laborious carving. Its form resembles that of a plate or a concave steering wheel of a car, with a series of 3 cuts or curved shovels that resemble the helix of a boat, and in the center an orifice with a rim that acts as the outside receiver of some axis of a wheel or some other unknown mechanism arranged to turn. As it is well known by all, the official position maintained by Egyptologists with respect to the appearance and use of the wheel on the part of the Egyptians is very clear and leaves no room for doubt. The introduction of the wheel in Egypt, they assure us, coincided with the invasion of the Hyksos, multi-ethnic Asian foreign rulers, at the end of the Median Empire in 1640 BCE. They used it on, among other things, their military chariots. The question then is inevitable. If it is not a wheel, what is the strange object that appeared in the tomb of Prince Sabu 1,400 years before the invasion of the Hyksos? In spite of the complexity of this problem, the subject has become even more serious as a result of the technical studies that a variety of investigators have made, impelled by the surprising and strange design of this device. Egyptologist Cyril Aldred reached the conclusion that, independently of what the object was used for or what it represented, its design was without a doubt a copy of a previous much older metallic object. In fact, the schist wheel appeared in tomb of Prince Sabu along with other strange copper objects, practically the only metal that the Egyptians then knew. The doubt that has been plaguing us is wondering how the ancient Egyptians could design so delicate and complex a structural object more than 5,000 years ago. A structure that, in the case of the 3 strange cuts or curved shovels, induces one to think almost immediately about the use of this object in an average liquid. The detail next to the excellent orifice in the central part makes us also suspect that this object is only a small part of a more complex mechanism, and that it was saved thanks to a stone reproduction for some unknown reason made by an artist with unknown tools. But what mechanism existed 5,000 years ago in the valley of the Nile? Bearing in mind that it is of pre-dynastic date, circa 3000 BCE, it represents a supreme ability in working hard stone, the lobes looking as though they had been bent over. Indeed, it is possible that it is a copy of an original copper artifact. One theorist who has attempted to explain its function is William Kay, an English engineer. He has suggested that it was actually a ritualistic tri-flamed oil lamp. This object is no more than a tray or the pedestal of some candelabrum with a design a product of blind chance. Although by chance, this peculiar object closely mirrors the design of one of the pieces that Lockheed U.S. aircraft manufacturer developed to be fitted hermetically within a full case of lubricant. Be that as it may, this object found in the tomb of Saqqara with an age at a minimum of 5,000 years continues to constitute one of the most perplexing Egyptian and ancient mysteries. Lathe-turned stone housewares. In the same Cairo Museum and in other museums around the world, there are examples of stoneware that were found in and around the Step Pyramid at Saqqara. English Egyptologist Petrie also found pieces of similar stoneware at Giza. There are several special things about these bowls, vases, and plates. they show the unmistakable tool marks of a lathe-manufactured item. This can easily be seen in the center of the open bowls or plates where the angle of the cut changes rapidly, leaving a clean, narrow, and perfectly circular line made by the tip of the cutting tool. Lathe is the father of all machine tools in existence, and Petrie submits evidence showing that not only were lathes used by the ancient Egyptians, but they performed tasks which would by today's standards be considered impossible without highly developed specialized techniques such as cutting concave and convex spherical radii without splintering the material. These bowls and stone dishes or platters are some of the finest ever found, and they are from the earliest period of ancient Egyptian civilization. Stoneware such as this has not been found from any later era in Egyptian history. It seems that the skills necessary were lost. They are made from a variety of materials, from soft such as alabaster all the way up the hardness scale to very hard such as granite. Working with soft stones such as alabaster is relatively simple compared to granite. Alabaster can be worked with primitive tools and abrasives. The elegant workings in granite are a different matter and indicate not only a consummate level of skill, but a different and perhaps more advanced technology. Here is a quote from Petrie. The lathe appears to have been as familiar an instrument in the 4th dynasty as it is in the modern workshops. Some delicate vases are made of very brittle stones such as schist, like a flint, and yet are finished, turned, and polished to a flawless paper-thin edge, an extraordinary feat of craftsmanship. At least one piece is so flawlessly turned that the entire bowl, about 9 inches or 23.9 centimeter diameter, fully hollowed out, including an undercut of the 3 inches or 7.6 centimeter opening in the top, balances perfectly. The top rests horizontally when the bowl is placed on a glass shelf on a round-tipped bottom no bigger than the size and shape of the tip of a hen's egg. This requires that the entire bowl has a symmetrical wall thickness without any substantial error. With a base area so tiny, less than 0.15 inches square or 3.8 millimeters square, any asymmetry in a material as dense as granite would produce a lean in the balance of the finished piece. This kind of skill will raise the eyebrows of any machinist. To produce such a piece in clay would be very impressive. In granite, it is incredible. Other pieces turned out of granite, porphyry, or basalt are fully hollowed with narrow undercut, flared openings, and some even have long necks. Since we have yet to reproduce such pieces, it is safe to say that the techniques or machinery they employed to produce these bowls has yet to be replicated. There were not just a few of these. Apparently there were thousands found in and around the Step Pyramid. The Step Pyramid is believed to be the oldest stone pyramid in Egypt, the first one built. It seems to be the only place where this kind of stone housewares were found in quantity, although Petrie found some fragments of similar bowls at Giza. Many of them has inscribed or scratched onto them the symbols of the earliest kings of Egypt, the pre-dynastic era monarchs from before the pharaohs. Judging by the primitive skill of the inscriptions, it seems unlikely that those signatures were made by the same craftsmen who fashioned the bowls in the first place. Perhaps they were added later by those who had somehow acquired them. So, who made these objects? And how? And where? And when? And what became of them that their housewares were buried in the oldest of Egyptian pyramids? Mind-boggling, isn't it? And there are still many more unexplainable out-of-place artifacts like this. In my next video, I will share with you some of them from other parts of the world. For now, allow me to thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.